I belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one I trust. What's an into an area? Keo, Samola! And I'll always be around when you need some loving, baby. No one else. Yeah. Put you down.
Hey guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of the Andy Campbell Championship Show. This is episode number 117. We are live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Ace Podcast Nation, your home to many other great shows and series featuring top guests, expert analysts and more. So please give us a follow on social media. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Click the bell for notifications so you never miss a show. And of course you can download the audio versions at the usual podcast and radio platforms. Just search Ace Podcast Nation and you'll see over 380 shows. And of course, if you want to keep it purely football, you follow at AC Footy Show on all social media, and that'll just be the football stuff. But just as we do wait for some people to join us in the various platforms and chats, a big thank you to Black Diamond Sports as ever for all their support around the show. They're making some big moves lately, signing some exceptional young talents to their brand, which is really impressive, and some sponsorship deals as well. Been very, very impressed with what they're doing lately. So keep an eye on them for sure. You can visit their social media pages and, of course, their website. Links to which are in the description below and at the closing credits at the end of the show. But today's sponsor, Bespoke Financial. As ever, we are very, very proud to partner with such a brand. Bespoke Financial, and Darren Ralston particularly, is giving away a free will worth £140 with any new policy which is taken out. So please check him out and give him a call. Don't miss out on what is an incredible offer. And of course, looked after Andy for many years with various policies. But most of all, they provide award-winning service, and we are very proud to partner with them, and we thank them for sponsoring the show. If you would like any more information, from whether it be Darren's phone number or any further information, I'm sure Andy would answer any questions, and so I will as well. And we'll probably have a little ad from them a bit later in the show as well. But with no further ado, let's join the man with the plan, the co-host with the most, the fox in the box, still the king of the Millennium Stadium. He is getting ready to come back and take the over 40s league by storm. Ex-Middlesbrough and Cardiff City striker, Davy Jones' favourite son, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Good evening. Yes, I'm not bad. It's been a good week. Getting back a little bit back to normal. Hopefully, seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. A mixed week with the football. Some good and bad for my team. Some excellent. Some not so good. And then also some sad news as well. So obviously, I would like to start with that. So all the Middlesbrough fans who follow this show, and football fans, Leeds fans, Scotland fans, that Gordon McQueen was diagnosed with dementia on. I think it was in January, but the family announced it this week, and it broke my heart because Gordon was like a dad to me. Gordon was my reserve team manager at Middlesbrough when I was 16, and he gave me everything I needed and more. He was fantastic. The whole family was, and I've seen him a couple of years ago, and he wasn't great then with certain illnesses and things, and now this just it's like the final straw. You know, it's awful, and something that we spoke about at length, and we try to find ways around it, and it just seems to be that kind of that generation of players is being affected by it, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was the size of the balls, how heavy it was, etc., and the amount of game. I don't know, you know what I mean? But it's such a shame, and my thoughts and love from the show, from myself, and from just it goes to Gordon and his family, his daughters, his son, his wife, and all the rest of the family, because they're lovely people.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's one of those, isn't it? It's my opinion with no medical training and all that sort of stuff. I've read some research studies and whatever, but I've got no training or whatnot to be able to say it. But I think the balls, and not just the weight of the balls, but the way they used to absorb water, has to have a massive amount to do with it. Those players from that generation, it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, I think it's not. He's not going to be the last one from that generation, and
I totally agree.
People sort of saying the same thing. I hate talking about something so sad, but I feel that we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't talk about it, and we didn't talk about these things. Just wanted to check. I just saw someone say, "Am I a bit quiet?" So if I am,
not to me.
Let me know in the chat. It shouldn't be, but I'll turn the volume up a little bit anyway. It's one of those things. We talked about it only a couple of shows ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
Obviously, we talked to it about with Charlie Barnes as well. Obviously, a young player.
Yeah.
In detail.
It is sad because it's got to be at the forefront of a player's mind. You know what I mean? It's got to be on the mind of defenders heading the ball all the time. Those big centre forwards who head the ball and get knocks and head injuries and things. You know what I mean? I was quite lucky when I played that. I was terrible in the air, so you know what I mean. I was quite lucky that I seemed to avoid all contact if possible. So you know what I mean. It was, but sometimes you know about it when you head the ball in a certain way or the wrong way, and you get a head injury. You don't know what kind of damage you've done, and maybe it's regular checks every year. I don't know what the answer is. I know that would cost a lot of money for football clubs, but listen, if it saves lives, then it's worth it every penny.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's at the end of the day, I think it is just about football as a sport putting as much money into helping these ex-players and researching why this is happening and what the problem is. And sadly, unfortunately, it's too late for a lot of footballers. But if we can stop it happening in the future, then that's what we have to do.
Definitely.
So right, what we're going to do, mate, we're going to have a couple of tell me whys. I'm going to keep an eye on my volume, and I'm going to have a little listen back in a minute and just see if it is quiet or not. If it's the people, a couple of people are saying it. So, okay. Let's have a look. Tell me why. Tell me why, Andy. So it's not going to be too difficult for you, mate, today. I don't think, but we'll see. I say that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Tricky.
Tell me why, number one. Nice and easy to start, as always, mate. How has Jordan Henderson gone from a laughing stock to a huge blow as he's out for 10 weeks when he's Liverpool's star centre-back? And your time starts now, my friend.
I feel really sorry a little bit for Henderson. You know what I mean, for Jordan Henderson, because for me, he was a standout performer. He's lifted the Champions League. He's been Liverpool's main player in there, and then all of a sudden, he gets put in an area, in a position which isn't as comfortable for him. It's a totally different area for a midfield player. You know what I mean? The tackling is different, the position's different. He's been caught out a little bit, and and he's obviously picked an injury from overstretching, from what I saw, and it was innocuous. It was a kind of injury which sometimes can be avoided. And I feel really sorry for him because he was managing midfield really well. He was dominating games, and now he's going to miss 10 weeks of football, which will have a potential impact on Euro in the summer, which won't be very good for him personally.
Yes, it will. I wasn't smiling at that. I was smiling at Gavin's comment, and that you hit the nail on the head there, mate. Pretty much for your 60 seconds. But yeah, look, it will surprise you to know that over the years I've mocked Jordan Henderson because, as you know, I don't normally do that to Liverpool players. But you can't deny his importance to Liverpool's side, and you can't deny that without him they don't look the same team. It puzzles me because I don't think he's a phenomenally great footballer. He's a good footballer. I don't think he's a world-class footballer.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and you get players like that. Darren Fletcher was very similar for Man United years ago, who were not world-class talent-wise. They just bring the best out of the players around them. And
sometimes, Si,
that's it. Sorry,
sometimes, Si, you want to be a 7
Go on.
out of 10, 8 out of 10. I'd rather be 7, 8 out of 10 week in, week out than be 10 one week or 5 the next. You know what I mean? It's about consistency, and that's what he's got. He's brought to his game anyway.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Reece there says he's matured into a leader more than anything. He could have a bad game, but you can see him commanding the middle of the pitch. Also, when he first signed, he was more of an attack-minded midfielder. Now he's much more defensive. I will say, I just wanted to welcome Mr. Richie Thomas back. He hasn't
you're Richie.
seen him for a while.
Yeah, really, good lad. Nice to see you back.
Mate.
Yeah.
Welcome, my friend. Jordan Henderson, mate, is a strange one, but look, you cannot fault his impact on that Liverpool side, and he hasn't had the same impact for England, I don't think, which I think for me that backs up what I just said. Is sometimes you just get players who bring the best out of certain players in a certain team. So like for Liverpool, for some reason, whatever that reason, maybe the reason's Klopp, but he brings out the best of those players around him. For England, different manager, different coaches, different tactics, doesn't quite have the same impact, doesn't quite get as many people playing to the same level. And then
I think it's the way they play as well, Si. I think it's the way that England play doesn't probably suit him. Where the Liverpool, the way that they attack, the way that Liverpool attack with pace, with Salah, with Mane, I think it's such a different way in Europe. It was such a different way in the Premier League. You know what I mean? They've struggled this year because they haven't got that domination in midfield, and it's coincided with him moving back that they're not dominating games. Yes, you can talk about Van Dijk as well, other people, but it's key to. It's key to Liverpool to get him back in certain areas. We talk about round pegs and square holes. You know what I mean? That's just an ideal example.
Yeah, 100%. Gavin, who's a Liverpool fan, says he's overrated, to be honest. Still, no one to replace Stevie G. I know that's going to be hard for any player, though, to be honest. And I think that's fair. I mean, I'm not even getting into Stevie G anyway. Right, the next Tell Me Why is the Europa League draw today. The British teams were United versus AC Milan, Rangers versus Slavia Prague, Spurs versus Dynamo Zagreb, and Arsenal versus Olympiacos. I want you to talk to me a bit about those games. I'll give you a little bit of extra information. Obviously, you've got Zlatan will be going back to Manchester United in the second leg. You've got Rangers getting to the last 16 for the second year in a row. You've got, and they're also playing the team which knocked Leicester out. And then you've got also Arsenal playing Olympiacos, who knocked them out at the same stage, I believe, last year. Yep. And obviously, Mourinho's under pressure with Zagreb. Your 60 seconds start now.
I think it's a fantastic draw for everybody. You know what I mean? You look at the Man United AC Milan's the biggest game in world football. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a bigger game anywhere in the world. Great for Rangers to get another opportunity against a good side to test themselves. Would have been great to see them against Leicester City and try and have a battle of Britain, so to speak. Obviously, Mourinho's got himself a decent draw, getting the away leg out the way first, and those Tottenham players do seem suited in Europe. I don't know why. I don't know how that works out. Obviously, Arsenal as well beat Benfica. Obviously, with a very late winner. Obviously, they were going out on away goals until that Olympiacos away first leg, give them an opportunity. But I do believe that the three English clubs will get through. I'm not so sure about Rangers, but I think the three English clubs will get through the next round, and I hope they can stay away from each other as long as possible.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Ooh, 9 seconds to go. But I think that's a fair assessment, mate. I'd argue, like on paper, you'd think United have got the hardest draw because AC Milan historically are the most successful team out of all those teams in Europe. However, Slavia Prague have just beaten Leicester, who Leicester on the last couple of years are one of the best sides in the Premier League. Spurs, like you say, are a little bit up and down. One thing I would say about the Rangers is Steven Gerrard, for whatever reason, is getting a tune out of those players, and not just like a game here and there, or not just domestically. They are very, very consistent, and they have been for the last probably, how long Steven Gerrard been there? 2 years, 3 years?
2 years, yeah, and I think he's doing great, and he's certainly getting a tune and more out of them. Listen, they scored 9 goals against Antwerp, and which is a fantastic achievement. They let 5 goals in, which is not great, but my worry is when they play against a decent side who sets up like Slavia Prague did against Leicester. Leicester didn't score against them, and Leicester are one of the best teams in the Premier League this season, so it'll be difficult for them. I hope they get through, but I just think it might be a game too far for them because there's always a team. And I think Slavia Prague might be that team who does well.
Yeah, so look, there's an interesting comment, and I don't say that, I kind of agree with it. Most decent teams would be flying in that Scottish League. Fair play for them carrying it into Europe, though. And I think there's a thing, isn't there? There's like 2 trails of thought. Is it because they're constantly winning games and domestic level, does that momentum give you enough going into Europe so you're just constantly on that upward curve? Or do people like us give the Scottish League a bad name, and maybe the Scottish League maybe is a bit of a higher standard than what we give it credit for? Which one do you reckon?
Listen, the only way we can compare is if they ever came to English football and did it week in, week out. But they've got to earn the right to do that. We spoke about the right way to do it. They've got to start at least in the Championship and get promoted to the Premier League. They can't. I don't think they can start any lower because they're not going to do it. Because why would they give up European football for 2 seasons? You know what I mean? Without that carrot at the end of it, they've got it. But I see it from everyone's point of view. Why should Sunderland be in League One for years and years and years, and Portsmouth, Ipswich Town, Hull City? You know what I mean? So that you've got that. It's the same thing. But for me, it would kill Scottish football. So, you know what I mean? There's more negatives will come out of it as well, because Scottish football without Rangers and Celtic would not. We might as well just be nothing. So that'd be such a shame as well.
Indeed, my friend, indeed. So we got a lot to talk about on the Championship front, mate. It's been a phenomenal week for some clubs. Some other clubs have got a foot back in after maybe a drop in form, and some are going to the dogs. I would like to ask you a question, though, first of all. I was reading an interesting article on BBC earlier, and it was entitled, "A deal was agreed 4 months ago for Derby County's 60 million takeover, but it's still not complete." Would that worry you if you were a Derby fan?
It would worry me. I'd still be a little bit excited because it's still on the table. But it would worry me why it's not getting, why they're dragging their heels. Are they looking for a cheaper price? Because the longer this goes, you know what I mean, that they might be struggling for money so they can get it on a cheaper price. Normally those kind of things happen because of that. Are they wanting them to go down so they're getting from even cheaper price so they can generate a little bit more money to have a little bit of success and hit the ground running, so to speak? Because the Championship's a difficult league. You've got to throw money, millions and millions and millions at it to be successful. You know what I mean? Look at Derby in the last couple of seasons have struggled. And I still think they're... Like, look at Middlesbrough, for example. Take them. That it's a progress. You know what I mean? They've done okay, but then, you know what I mean? Obviously, we're going to talk about them later on, but you don't overnight become a top side in the Championship because of all the money which is involved in from the Premier League sides coming down. So for me, yes, be worried, but if that does go through, Derby could be a force to be reckoned with in the next few seasons.
I think the one worrying thing about it, from Derby's point of view, is He tried to buy Liverpool. He failed. He failed to complete a very, very public takeover of Newcastle back in 2019. Sheikh Khalid did. He's obviously related to he's a cousin of the Man City owner.
Yeah.
He's already said he wouldn't be spending the same level of money that his cousin does. But look, Mel Morris, who is in charge of the current owners, they've spent over £200 million and haven't got promoted. That's a lot of money. And I just would be worried until it's taken over. You've got to be worried that, look, he's gone from Liverpool to Newcastle to big clubs from the sort of north of England to a championship club. It's very clear he wants to be a football owner.
Yeah, but beside though, the amount of money he's got
elsewhere.
Yeah, the amount of money he's got and this fit and proper person test should keep these bids and these deals anonymous until they're done. Sure. Because for Derby, you know what I mean? I think it's embarrassing for them that their owner has tried to buy 3 clubs already. I think it's embarrassing, you know what I mean, that he's failed. You know what I mean, that they're the 4th choice, basically. You know what I mean? They weren't his first choice. And as a Derby fan, is he going in there with the right intentions? Is he going to go there, you know what I mean, and put the things in place that they need in place? You know what I mean? That's a strong foundations. That's a youth team set up, which is going to leave them with a legacy. Because, listen, owners get bored as well. You know what I mean? There's only probably Sheikh Mansour at Man City and Roman Abramovich who hasn't got bored in recent years. You know what I mean? So other people seem to get bored and pull the money and go down a different route and then have a little venture again. And I'll use Mike Ashley as an example. You know what I mean? He's dipped his toe in and out. West Ham have spent years but then they've held it back and then they go back in again. Tottenham, same thing again. Yes, new stadiums, the Arsenal. You know what I mean? But teams just want a little bit of consistency. They want the truth. They want honesty, transparency, and you know what I mean? I'm really lucky. You know, I'm being a Middlesbrough fan, ex-player, that they've got the best chairman in the world who says what it is. If he's going to spend money, he says it. If he's not going to spend money, he says he can't afford it. He can't afford it. So you know exactly where you stand.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Craig, as ever, makes a really interesting comment, which I'd like your opinion on. He says, sorry, wrong comment. He says, the worry for Derby, if delayed and they fail financial fair play, or are they waiting for the rules to change?
Well, by the rumours I hear and reading up on it, and obviously Middlesbrough complained about Derby about the FIFA fair play and financial fair play rules. This Wayne Rooney saga just carries on going because, you know what I mean, that's how it all started. Steve Gibson complained about Derby that they were struggling away trying to bring players in on a small budget when they go and bring in a player ex-England international from the MLS. And listen, if they do fail it, then the club's going to need rescuing because they're going to go to the wall and someone's then going to buy them for very cheap. So is that why they're holding out? Because they know something's coming? You know what I mean? There's always a story behind and a reason behind, and if that's going to rumble on, then maybe people are cleverer than what we give them some credit for.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Couldn't people let me know if my volume is better or worse than it was at the start of the show? I just so I know, basically. Don't really know why it's happening, but there we go. All right, mate. Let's get into the championship table. As ever, we will start at the bottom and work our way up, which means we start as ever. Unfortunately, it feels like we start with them every week, and I think we probably have for the last few shows. Wycombe Wanderers had an interesting week.
Yeah, listen, we always knew, didn't we, that it was going to be a difficult one for Gareth taking over in the Championship his first season. But 23 points, they've done okay. You know what I mean? They've got 4 points in a week. Obviously drew against Millwall away, which I thought was a fantastic result. They haven't kept many clean sheets. And then they beat Reading at home. You know what I mean? So for Wycombe's standards, an absolutely amazing week. But the problem is they haven't had the consistency and they haven't done it enough to give themselves an opportunity to stay where they are. So I think it might be a little too late. You know what I mean? Because they're still, yes, they've got one game in hand over Birmingham who are falling like a stone, but they're still 8 points behind, which is a big ask with not so many games to go.
Yeah, it's a good week for them, mate, because they have had a problematic time of late. but I think it's 4 points from 2 games. Particularly, I think Reading is a big one, isn't it? To be able to pull that victory off. A point away at Millwall's not the worst result either. So
no, fabulous.
I think they'll be very happy with that in terms of a week's work. Next up, Sheffield Wednesday.
Terrible week. Obviously, a loss against Birmingham City, which I didn't foresee coming. Brilliant for Aitor. Clean sheet for them, but worrying for Sheffield Wednesday that they haven't won. They've lost the last 3 games. And then midweek, they played Brentford, who turned everything around and beat them quite comfortably 3-0. So worrying for Sheffield Wednesday that they still can't get out of the mess that they're in. You know what I mean? And we keep saying it week in, week out. They can't leave it. They can't be leaving it this late to get out of it.
Yeah, yes. I find it difficult to talk about Sheffield Wednesday, mate. I've got to be honest, because they realistically should be some points less than what they are anyway.
Well, I'd say if they had 6 points less, they'd be down. So that's the only positive that I can see at the minute for Sheffield Wednesday fans.
They've got to keep going, mate, because if they go down, despite having that 6 points reinstated, what does that say about those players and their attitude? I've got to say, because there's no way that squad should be going down.
No, but then you can look at the owners as well. You know what I mean? Because they're changing to change their managers. You know what I mean? They're giving Tony Pulis 6 games. It's a mess. It's a mess from top to bottom, and it's really unfortunate because it's a huge football club.
Indeed. Next up, Derby County.
No, it's not. It's Rotherham.
Okay. See yourself. Go with Rotherham then.
Derby about 9 points clear.
I don't know. Maybe I was looking at an out-of-date table. It just says Cardiff are top of the league by 10 points.
That's true. Then let's go with that. Rotherham 2-1 defeat. One against Norwich City on Saturday, and then the worst one for me, which might hit them really badly, was the Nottingham Forest one. I watched the game live on Sky, and I thought for long periods I thought they did okay, but they just didn't look like scoring. They're not scoring enough goals. They're not affecting the game enough, and it's worrying times now because I thought they would have been quite safe and be a little bit further afield of the relegation than they are.
Indeed, mate. It seems I fixed my sound issue. I think one of my kids might have turned down all my settings, but we're back. Next up, Birmingham City, my friend.
Mixed week. 1 win and 1 draw, but 1 win and 1 defeat. Sorry, but to beat Sheffield Wednesday away was a fantastic result. Clean sheet. Well, it gave them confidence, and then they played Norwich City. Listen, it was always going to be a difficult one. It's a free game for me. Go and try and win it, which they went for it. They had a go. They got caught on the break a couple of times, and it's no disgrace losing to Norwich City at the minute because they're probably behind Cardiff City, the second informed team in the league. So a decent result for Norwich, but yeah, Birmingham just need to try and squeeze some 3 points or 1 point out because they're in desperate need.
Yeah, I think so, mate. They've quietly been, I think, improving. I'd say is a fair assessment. They haven't been quite flying, but they've been improving. And maybe some of the results haven't gone their way, but they have been have been improving overall. Next up is Coventry, obviously a mixed week where they beat Brentford and then lost to them.
Yeah, I think it's a good week. Listen, they hadn't won for 7 games, so to beat probably the best football inside in the league, the most attacking side, to keep a clean sheet, win 2-0. I think it's a really good game, and the Swans against a free game, like I just said, sometimes you get them. And to only lose 1-0, which was a late goal as well, I think fair play to Coventry. I think they've hopefully they can turn things around because Mark Robbins has done a fabulous job.
Yes, indeed, mate, he has. Next up is Huddersfield, and you just mentioned Swansea. Huddersfield hammered them 4-1 on Saturday, and then lost to Derby County 2-0.
Yeah,
which is,
you just can't work it out. So, I seen a highlight of the Huddersfield game. They absolutely walloped them. They missed chances as well. Could have been a lot more. Fraser Campbell. There was a video that I retweeted on social media from my own personal account. It was a Swansea fan watching the game, and he was nearly crying about Fraser Campbell getting the goal. And it really cheered me up. It was just it made my Saturday night. But Huddersfield fully deserved the result, and Swansea have got to be much better than that if they want to get to the Premier League, because the Championship doesn't feel sorry for anybody at the minute.
Oh yeah, it is. It seems like it's worse than ever for unpredictability, because I expected Huddersfield to go on and probably get at least a draw against Derby County, and Derby County pretty much outplayed them on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, it was a convincing 2-0 victory.
Yeah,
and Derby haven't been in the best of form. They're coming off the back of a loss themselves. Obviously, before that they'd had a couple of wins. And we move on to Derby next, actually. So that takes us in nicely, almost like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, listen, a difficult week, obviously, with the start. They played Watford on Friday night, got beat 2-1, but then obviously they needed a reaction, and he got that against Huddersfield, and he outplayed them. And Wayne Rooney's done all right, you know what I mean? He's winning 2 or 3 on the bounce, and he's losing 1, and he's picking the players back up, and he's winning again a couple of games, and then they're losing 1. He's winning more games than he's not. So they'll be okay, Derby. There's a little bit of a gap between them and Rotherham at the minute, but I believe they'll win a few more games from now to the end of the season.
Absolutely the right decision to put Wayne Rooney as the sole manager after that first game where they had 3 of them in charge.
Yeah, 100%.
Since they did that, they haven't looked back. Yes, of course you're gonna lose football matches in the Championship. It's just the way the league is. But overall, since he's been in charge, I think he's doing a very, very good job.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up is Luton Town. A
difficult week.
Only the 1 point for them.
Yeah, difficult week. Got heavily beaten at Stoke, which on paper probably you fully expected, but I think Luton have really achieved quite a lot this season. I think they'll be disappointed with the way that they played. Drew with Millwall through the week, which Millwall have picked up as well. So it's you just got to try and churn as many points as you can, side, because Luton don't want to get dragged into it. They've had a fantastic season so far, but if they go on a bad run, they can quickly be dragged into it. They can't afford to be dragged into that.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Next up, Nottingham Forest, 6 points, 2-1-0 victory, 2 clean sheets. They're starting to get up a bit of steam. Yeah,
Chris Hughton's done an amazing job, Si. You know what I mean? In probably since he signed Glenn Murray, I think he's leading the line. He's enjoying his football. Yes, he's not scoring the goals that the Adam Armstrong scoring, for example, and they're going to score 30 goals. But an experienced player is good in the dressing room. He gets players going. It helps with communication and Chris Hughton's reaping the rewards at the minute, and he's turned their fortunes around, because they could have been doomed with a negative transfer window.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. It's so fascinating watching Forest get a bit of a momentum going, because it's just taken them so long, hasn't it? And we talked a lot at the start of the season about the impact of missing out on the playoffs on the last day, almost with the last kick of the game, if you like. So psychologically, it took those players a long time to get over that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But now they are getting a bit of steam together. I know they lost to Swansea a couple of weeks ago, but either side of that, they've been doing very well. And it'd be interesting how far they can take that momentum, because they've got a good Championship squad. And like you mentioned, they have some real good experienced players. Another team with a good squad who should be doing better is Blackburn Rovers, and they've they don't know what is going on. Their manager must be he's got to be in trouble, mate.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, Tony's one of my heroes.
I
love Tony Mowbray. Yeah, he's an amazing person, but yeah, he's really struggling. They've lost 5 in the bounce. Got beat by Nottingham Forest. Lost against Watford at home, and yes, they are scoring goals. Adam Armstrong scoring, bringing them into games, but they're letting too many goals in. You know what I mean? And for me, they're underachieving. You know what I mean? We spoke that on paper they've got some amazing footballers. They've got some very good Championship footballers, but the league table doesn't lie. They're stuck in 15th place for a reason, and they need to pick themselves up sharpish.
Indeed, mate. Preston North End.
Preston obviously lost to Cardiff. Oh, no, they didn't. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Lost to Cardiff on Saturday 4-0. Yeah. And then they drew 0-0 at home to QPR. 2 games without a goal site. I spoke really highly of Preston, because I watched them against Middlesbrough about a month ago. And Scott Sinclair, Barkhausen, obviously they've signed a new centre forward as well. So I fully expected them to start scoring regular goals. I mean, 3 games now without a goal. It's alarming for a side like Preston who attack the way that they attack. So they'll need to turn this round sharpish and make sure that Ched Evans can bring some goals. They can get the ball to Scott Sinclair, and Alex Neil, the manager, can just have the pressure taken off him a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's about the 6th time I've said 100%. I hate it. Can't get out of the habit of saying it. I apologise. Next up's QPR, mate.
Obviously, they lost against Bristol City. Barnsley beat them at home 1-0. And then Nigel Pearson got the job, his first time in charge. He was sat in the stand at Middlesbrough, and they were absolutely fantastic. Blew Middlesbrough away after about 15 minutes, got 3 goals, and defended really well and thoroughly deserved it. Could have been more going forward. They were immense. Defensively, they look strong, they look fit, look hungry. So my question is, why didn't they do it for the previous manager? You know what I mean? So it happens, unfortunately, but Nigel will do a great job. He's a fantastic person. He was my captain at Middlesbrough when I was coming through. He's a very good manager. He should have still been the Watford manager, in my opinion. He should never have got the sack. He did a great job at Leicester. If he didn't have a go at reporters about having been an ostrich, he still might be a manager at Leicester. So you just never know. Listen, it's about the right place at the right time. So he's a right fit for Bristol City, I feel.
Yes, indeed. My tables... Well, yeah, my web browser's just crashed. Who was next?
Millwall.
Millwall, sorry,
yeah, Millwall. Very mixed week. 2-0, 2 draws, 1-0, 1-1. Wickham at home 0-0. Luton Town away 1-1. I think they should be looking at least 3 points, if not 4, out of those 2 games. But saying that, they're unbeaten in 9 games. So Gary Rowett's doing something right. He's turning the fortunes around because they had a really sloppy start of the season, and he'd be pleased at the minute that they're not shipping as many goals in the way at the start, but also concerned that they're not scoring as many goals as they should be.
Yeah, that's their one problem at the moment, isn't it? Is getting the goals from an attacking point of view. But I think Gary Rowett's doing a very good job. He's really
he is. Totally agree.
For Millwall. Next up, Stoke City, mate.
Stoke City, yeah. Listen, they're going to beat Luton Town quite comfortably, 3-0, and then lose against Barnsley away from home. And listen, Barnsley have turned things around. Yes, they have, but the size of Stoke City. Nick Powell on Saturday was immense with the 2 goals. We all know how undoubted ability he's got. He's an excellent footballer, but when they go to Barnsley, they've got to do better. They've got to have the consistency of the game. We know, Si, how important the 6 points out of 2 games is at this point of the season, because the league table changes daily at the minute.
Oh yes, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Middlesbrough, mate, what's going on? They're falling off a cliff.
Yeah, well, listen,
Saturday for playoffs.
Yeah, Saturday they were excellent against Reading, and then I went to the Bristol City game watched it on TV, thinking they were going to wipe the floor with them, just coast away, and then look forward to the next few games. But Bristol City blew them away. I don't know if it was a bit overconfident, wrong team selection, but obviously with a mammoth game coming at the weekend, it's going to be difficult. And I've always said, Si, that Middlesbrough won't get in the playoffs, and that's not me being negative. I've said it's progression from last season, and where they are now to where they finished on the last day of last season. They've had an unbelievable season, and the credit should go to the manager and the players. They've been brilliant, absolutely fantastic, and they should be proud of what they've done. And next year I expect more, which is playoffs. So it's about progressing every season.
Yes, indeed, mate. And speaking of progress, the next team we're going to talk about has progressed exceptionally well up the league, and they've flown, for lack of a better term, up to 8th in the league. And that's Barnsley. Got some cracking young players, by the way.
Yeah.
Callum Styles, in particular, has been absolutely immense for them.
But they keep doing it, Simon. They keep doing it. They keep on unearthing this talented footballer and then sell him on, and then bring another one through. They've won 4 on the belt. They've beaten Brentford. They've beaten Blackburn. They've beaten Bristol City. They've beaten Stoke. You know what I mean? To beat Bristol City away and then Stoke at home, 2 clean sheets, is absolutely fantastic. So it's a brilliant opportunity for them to get in the playoffs. I'm not sure if it'll be a little bit too far, but what a season they've had, because they should have got relegated last season, and they escaped by the skin of their teeth, and look where they are now. So they should be absolutely super proud of the performances, because you've got to remember, they've lost their best player. Their best player signed for Stoke City. You know what I mean? So it's even more credit for the football club and the manager and the fans and the players. So massive well done.
Yeah, we had also discussed the importance of them not relying too heavily on Corey Woodrow's goals, and I think they've addressed that, like with some of the younger attacking players they got. Like I mentioned, Styles out on the wing, but also Morris, Callum Morris, I think it is. Is it Callum Morris? I forget his first name, but Morris out on the wing has been doing real well. Carlton Morris, not Callum Morris. Sorry. been very, very good, mate. It's been an impressive little run from them. But we said all the way back at the start of last season that when they, we said if they would keep clean sheets, they'll do very well because they'll always score goals.
The amount of chances they create,
and last year they struggled to keep clean sheets.
Yeah.
This year they've addressed that, and look where they are.
Scary side. I've never known a side in the Championship create as many chances and have shots at goal like they have. It's absolutely madness. It's madness.
Indeedy, mate. Bournemouth.
Terrible. Terrible week. 2 defeats, 2-2-1 defeats. Obviously, Jonathan Woodgate got the job, and then he's had a really bad week. So it'll test his nerve. It'll test the club's nerve. Obviously, they've got 2 difficult games coming up as well. They play Watford at home on Saturday. And then they play Bristol City away, and then Preston away. And then Barnsley at home, and then Swansea at home. So they've got a real tough run in, which is good news for everybody around them. You know what I mean? Because it gives everybody an opportunity to probably take a breath and lose some points because people can't keep on the run that they're going. You know what I mean? I know we're going to talk about certain teams now, but dreadful week for Bournemouth. They need to address that straight away, and I'm sure Jonathan will want to do that straight away.
Yeah, and I think with regards to the Cardiff game, Cardiff were very good. They closed down Bournemouth.
They worked harder than
if you're 2-0 down after half hour, it's always going to be an uphill struggle in the Championship.
Yeah.
And I think that was basically, it might have been just after half hour, but effectively half hour. And obviously we move on to Cardiff next. McCarthy's flying. I wanted to ask you something before we talk about the games. He's been linked with the Celtic job today, where Neil Lennon's left Celtic. Now, former Ireland manager, and also only has a contract with Cardiff City till the end of the year. Would he be interested in managing a Champions League football club?
Yes, because listen, he's got to look after himself.
Yep.
What I've said all along that my issue wasn't with Mick McCarthy coming in. My issue was with the 6-month contract he was getting offered. If you want to hire a manager, you give him 2 years or 3 years. You do not give him 6 months. Now you're in a position where he's set the world alight. He's done really well. Other clubs are going to notice it and think, right, well, if we offer him a contract now, then he'll join us in the summer. And this is the worry that every Cardiff City fan's got. Because all Celtic need to do.
Celtic could pay the money and sign him now, effectively, couldn't they?
Yeah, Celtic aren't going to win the league. All Celtic could do is just put a caretaker manager in place for the rest of the season, see the season out. And Mick McCarthy could be working behind the scenes and doing things. Listen, it's really worrying that. And it's worrying because it was such a bad, for me, business decision. For me, you've got to give him long. If you weren't keen on him, don't give him the job.
But you know what, mate? If I was Mick McCarthy's agent, I would have had that story in the paper yesterday, and I'd be going to Cardiff City and say, look, Celtic are offering me this big 2.5, 3 year deal to sign for them to be their manager. I'm only here till the summer. You're putting me in a difficult position. And by the way, I would have said that if I was Mick McCarthy, while he's on this run, if he's got any intention of wanting the Cardiff job full time, he's in the perfect position. Because now Cardiff have put themselves in a position where they've got to decide now, instead of at the end of the season, if they want to keep Mick McCarthy.
Yeah.
Whereas their reasoning, I'd imagine, for giving him a 6-month deal was so they could decide at the end of the season what they want to do. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. But the problem Cardiff got now, they've lost power. They've lost the power because Mick's done such a good job. He holds all the cards. So if he decides to hold out till the summer, he'll hold out till the summer because there might be a different job which might be closer to home, or it might be in a different country, which he wants to look at and take over. You know,
I think Celtic fans would have a similar response to Cardiff City fans had when Mick McCarthy came in, or some of us did. In that it feels a bit lacking in ambition, and it's the same managers going round and round and getting these jobs. I think they'd be more interested in a Rafa Benitez or someone like this.
It's all boils down to finance, though, and because Mick was Ireland manager, he is a hero with Celtic managers because of
to it, isn't he?
Yeah.
I would say there's a worry there, but I do think it's his agent is doing his job. And if he didn't put the story in the paper, his agent, then he's not doing his job.
Yeah.
Because that's what agents are there for, is to drum up interested in their clients. Now, mate, on Saturday, Mick McCarthy's Cardiff City tore notorious bogey team Preston North End. That is a quality comment, by the way. Rob Boyle just said John Sheridan's in line for the Celtic job. Love it.
You get the Cardiff job.
Oh God, could you imagine? Yeah, both by the end of the week. Cardiff destroyed Preston, and they're notoriously, historically, whatever you want to say, Cardiff struggle with Preston. Even at 4-0 up, mate. Still thinking the comeback's on.
It helps when you take the lead after 2 minutes and you have a solid start. And I thought they dominated the game after that. I thought even the first half when they didn't get that second goal, they should have got it. They didn't get it. But once that second goal went in, I thought they were comfortable. Even with the penalties. You know what I mean. I thought that was a shambles. I'll be honest. You know what I mean. But and one question that I've always asked myself is, the lad missed the first penalty, which is fine. Mm-hmm. Then they get the other penalty. Why didn't he just take the second one? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I think it's disrespectful by the player who decides that you're not taking it, I'm taking it, but then you go and miss anyway. Because if you're the designated penalty taker, if you've got a penalty next week, you'll be taking it. So what's the difference if it's five seconds later?
When that's happened, I think Bruno Fernandes did it actually this season. He missed one. The ref said take it again, and he put the second one away because he's the penalty taker. Like for me, when Dylan Phillips saved the second penalty, that killed Preston. That absolutely killed him, and I feel like that changed the game. Even though, the score is what it is, like that just took the wind out of their sails completely, because you had the elation of getting a penalty, then it's missed. Even more elation because you get to retake it, and then the keeper saves it again, and it just took the wind out of their sails. But Cardiff with a better side by a long way. There's some
they're creating chances. One thing I will say, and this is over both games, the way that Cardiff City are dominating set pieces is absolutely scary. Scary the way that he's obviously working on them. He's working on filling the box. He's working on hitting the right personnel. The movement, the set piece itself is phenomenal, and it's causing so many problems, and it's really, really, really starting to bear fruit and just give Cardiff. It's giving them goals. It's killing other teams because they've got the bigger side. You know what I mean? Defensively and offensively, they've got the biggest side I've ever seen. You know what I mean? In both boxes, so it must be a nightmare for opposition teams to see. For me, the Bournemouth game, they bullied them, absolutely bullied them. The Luton game before that, bullied them again. You know what I mean? In the right areas, in the right way, but they just haven't got the answers to see what's going on.
100%, mate. By the way, NG, what a signing, mate.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
Needed a right back for about 25 years, but like to get a player so young and so full of quality, who's just stepped up into the Championship with almost ease. And like with the Bournemouth game, I just thought Cardiff outworked them. And by the way, I said last week I'm not ready to quite eat humble pie over Mick McCarthy, and I'm not. I will wait until the end of the season before I decide if I was wrong. One person who I was 100% wrong about, and I'm not embarrassed to say, is Kiefer Moore. He's gone from a £2-3 million striker to there'll be clubs looking at him in the summer for 20-25 million from the Premier League, just because the amount of goals he scored. Any striker who scores that amount of goals in the Championship, there'll be clubs looking at him. And his all-round play, mate, is what has impressed me as well.
It's more for me than that, though. I watched the second half especially, and backs against the wall when the manager was starting to bring centre forwards off. He left Kiefer up front, who probably could have come off, and you know what? He held the ball up. He running the channels. His work rate was phenomenal. His attitude is just his selflessness. He didn't care about being tired. He didn't care that he just wanted to get those 3 points. And you know what? It's amazing that it's an attitude what you can't buy and you can't teach anybody. You just either have it or you don't. And what a footballer.
Kelly just made a really good point. Is he plays up front for Wales as well? Can you imagine if he goes to the Euros and Wales get to like the quarterfinals or something, and he scores 5 goals? Do you know what I mean? And that's not out of the question. Like, when you look at the players he's got supplying him compared to the players he's got supplying him for Cardiff, with no disrespect, it's a whole different level, isn't it? You're talking Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, Dan James, and others. compared to the Cardiff delivery and stuff is different, isn't it?
Yeah, but
So,
you don't want
yeah.
you don't want that to happen though, because
No, of course
if
not.
that happens,
Well, I do because
he
I want
leaves.
Wales to
Yeah,
get us.
yeah,
Play.
to catch 22.
But I suppose if he's going to go, at least we can get as much money as possible for him.
Yeah,
Let him, as Wales win the Euros, and
Yeah.
he scores 10 goals, and then we can get like 50 million for him instead. Yeah, not delusional at all. Right, let's move on. We'll come back to Cardiff if people have got any questions at the end of the show. So next up, Reading, mate. Up and down, up and down.
Yeah, they're still in there though. They're still in the playoffs. They've had a really bad week. They've lost 2 games, and they're still there. They're still in a really good area, really good position. So fair play to them. They haven't scored in 2 games. They haven't kept clean sheets. They've lost 2 games, so they'll want to turn things around against Rotherham tomorrow, and then Blackburn Rovers and Sheffield Wednesday, then Nottingham Forest, and then Birmingham. So the next 5 games, the teams in and around the bottom 5. So they've got an opportunity to cement that playoff place, because you know what, if they don't get in the playoff side, that'll be the biggest travesty ever, because they've been in there all season.
Yeah, Donna just said she'd be gutted if Mick, McCarthy, Kiefer Moore and Harry Wilson all left Cardiff. Jesus. And I thought I was the negative one, Donna. I thought you were
Jesus.
thought you were the positive one and I was the negative one. What's going on here?
The show will be a morning. The show will be a morning of those 3.
Oh God, yeah, can you imagine? Oof. Yeah, look, if Reading don't at least make the playoffs, the questions have got to be asked because of the way they played the majority of the season. Another team who might be asking a few questions, mate, is them up the road.
Yeah, well, obviously,
what's gone wrong in the last couple of weeks for them?
Listen, when you get beat 4-1, it's going to affect your confidence. They're not scoring as many goals as they have done the last 3 games. They've scored no more than 1 goal in all 3 in 3 games. So they need to address that. They need to score more goals, and they've been used to doing that. They're still in a very good position. They play Bristol City tomorrow. Which will be a very difficult game, by the way. So it won't be a walkover, which probably they thought it would have been 2 weeks ago, with the new manager put in place, because Bristol City have got a new lease of life, and they're looking up to the playoffs rather than looking down to relegation. So, but the league's so tight. You know what I mean? 1 point between them, Watford and Brentford, and everyone's got to aim for that 2nd place, because I know we'll talk about the team. Norwich City at the top of the league. I can't see anybody catching them the form that they're in at the minute, But yes, Swansea have got a couple of games in hand, which they need to make sure that they try and pick some points up.
Yeah, they need to pick up some points, mate. I got to say, they won't be looking forward to that Cardiff game, though.
No, they won't be looking at the game tomorrow, because they'll see what happened against Middlesbrough, and they'll see that that they ripped them to pieces in a matter of moments. So it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't think it's that far off. Right? March 5th, Donna says Cardiff play Swansea. So I think that could be a massive game. Like, if they keep coming down and Cardiff keep going up, although someone else, James, just said it's the 20th, so it's sometime in March. It's coming up soon. So it's going to be a massive game.
Yeah.
Cardiff have not got a good record in the derby of late, which would be my one concern would be that they end up kind of halting Cardiff's good run by having a derby game. I'd rather not have that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had Swansea. Next up, Watford.
They've had a brilliant week. So they've won the last 4 games. They beat Derby County. They beat Blackburn Rovers. They're scoring goals. They're entertaining again, and it's a great time to have a good run. You know what I mean? Perfect time. Especially when Norwich are running away with the league at the minute. So that it's important. Pedro's on fire, scoring goals. Watford have got an opportunity to catch Norwich, I believe, but they need a few more games like they're doing, and they just need to keep dominating the midfield. For me, the signing of the window has got to be Gosling from Bournemouth. He's been absolutely fantastic, Dan Gosling, and I can't believe that Bournemouth sold him to a rival in the league. Honestly, can't believe it.
That's the sort of thing Cardiff would do, mate. It's I never understand signing to a rival. I played Dan Gosling's a superb footballer.
Yeah, I know. If he went to the Premier League, I could understand,
mate.
but yeah, I don't get it.
Bizarre one. Next up is Brentford, a mixed week.
Yeah, obviously, I guess for me, 2 games after I expect them to win against sides down the bottom of the league. To lose a Coventry City 2-0, but then turn around against Sheffield Wednesday, 3 points is better than no points, I guess. But they need to make sure that they don't lose too many games. They lost 3 games on the belt before the Sheffield Wednesday game, so they can't afford that to happen again. If they want to get promoted this year, they need to consistently win more games towards the end of the season, because I'd love to see Brentford in the Premier League, because they've deserved it over the last 2 years performance-wise.
Yeah, 100%. They, they were coming off the back of 2 losses, and that's that could be difficult in the Championship, because the games are so thick and fast that it can be just as easy to get a bad run going as it is a good run going.
Yeah.
So Gavin said he was at Everton before. We move on from Brentford to the top of the table, and Norwich City seem to have steadied after a little wobble.
Yeah, they've won the last 4 games. They beat Rotherham on Saturday 1-0. Pookie scored the winner, and then they played Birmingham City away. Pookie scored 2, missed a penalty. Another fantastic week. When you've got somebody like leading the line side, you've got a chance. You know what I mean? They've got subs to burn. They've got defenders from Premier League. You know, they've got a Premier League goalkeeper in Tim Krul. They're 7 points ahead at the minute. It's I called them at the start to get promoted. I called them at the start to win the league, and I don't see that changing. I think they've got too much going forward to not win enough games to see them over the line.
Indeed, mate. Indeed. Okay, let's go up to our 2 ups and 2 downs. Going to be an interesting one this week, mate, because I think there's a lot of ups to choose from. Downs are a bit harder. Who have you got for your first down, mate?
I've gone for Rotherham. I just think they're on a bit of a downer as a team. That they've lost 2 games, didn't score any goals this week. The last 3 games they haven't scored a goal. They've lost 1-0, and winning becomes a habit, but then losing becomes a habit as well. And it's a really bad time to start going on a bad run, because there's too many good teams in the Championship to have an impact. And I hope they turn it around, because it's a nice football club, but no one feels sorry for you in this league anymore.
Absolutely, mate. My first down is the Blackburn players. I really feel like they're letting down Tony Mowbray. That squad should be up in the playoffs at the minimum, and to see the way I don't think they're quite who was it last week? We said they downed Bristol, that they downed Tools, but sometimes I feel like they're not far off. They doesn't take much. An early goal or a goal, and they do seem to have difficulty motivating themselves, which I think is a disgrace.
No, I agree. It's great.
What about your second down, mate?
I've gone for Ched Evans against Cardiff City for taking that second penalty, because I think it's not something I would do. Paul Gallagher came on just about an hour. He came on 4 minutes before he took the first penalty. He missed it, which happens. But for me, Paul Gallagher's a very good set-piece taker. And if he's a choosing penalty taker, he takes the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Doesn't matter. He's a penalty taker, corner taker, free kick taker. Don't take it off him, because you look stupid when you miss yourself.
Yeah, I was going to go with that. But I'd also go with so we say I got to think of one on the fly now. I go with Swansea. Maybe I thought they were pretty piss poor against Huddersfield. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought they were bordering on. I don't want to take the credit away from Huddersfield though, because I was impressed, and there was one particular player which I'm going to talk about in a minute who really impressed me. So let's move to the ups. Who is your first up, mate?
I've named him before, and I'm going to have to name him again because he had an unbelievable week, and that's Pookie. He scored the winning goal against Rotherham on Saturday. He scored 2 in the week, missed a penalty. Would have been an amazing week, scoring a hat trick and four goals. But yeah, he's single-handedly sent Norwich back to the top of the league, and he's a top goal scorer. You know what I mean? When you've got someone that good side running your centre forward, you've got an opportunity. You know what I mean? So he scored 17 goals in 28 games this season. That's a great return.
That's a striker, mate. He steadied their wobble, mate. I think most importantly, they were wobbling, and he's just taken a bit of responsibility and steadied the ship. So I've gone for the veteran Fraser Campbell of Huddersfield. I thought his performance against Swansea City was outstanding, mate. I
Yeah.
really thought, like, he led from the front. His work rate, he was bang up for it. He's no spring chicken anymore. But,
No.
but he led by example, and he got those. You know, when a striker just is up for it and they're running around everywhere, and he's always been that type of player who runs around a lot. But I just thought that his attitude was infectious on the other players. He was clearly, whether it was a Cardiff Swansea thing, I don't know, but he was bang up for it. He got the first goal. That only added to it. And I just thought he was outstanding all around.
Great shout.
Who's your second up, mate?
I've gone for Bristol City as a club, and that's giving credit to the chairman, the owner, the CEO, to bring in Nigel Pearson, to put them to the level that he's going to take them. You know what I mean? For Nigel to get that level of performance out from that group of players who've underachieved for months and months and months. And I'll use Thomas Callas as an example. Thomas Callas has probably been one of the worst defenders in the league for 2 months, and he pulled out a performance that I've never seen against Middlesbrough. But he is a Premier League footballer, and you know what I mean. Cream always rises. I've always been a firm believer of that. But Nigel Pearson will get some results from Bristol City, and if he can get some big results over the next couple of weeks, they might be looking up towards the playoffs because Nigel's that good of a manager.
Indeed. My second up, I can't separate two players. One is Callum Styles of Barnsley. Thought it's just a phenomenal week. He's been very, very good. He's one of those players which I just enjoy watching play football, and he scored a stunning goal midweek as well. And the other one is Dylan Phillips for Cardiff City, the goalkeeper. Just because it's one thing to save the first penalty, but to get up and get over the disappointment of having the penalty retaken, and then save it, and it effectively killed Preston. It really did. So I got to give it to him because that's
two
not,
great
not
saves.
easy to do.
Two great saves as well. Yeah, two great saves.
And as you know, mate, I got a soft spot for the old goalkeepers.
Yeah.
But I think it's well deserved. So yeah, they're my. I couldn't separate them, so I went for a joint one, which is a bit naughty, but there we go. Okay, guys, you have got approximately 5 minutes to send in any questions you want to ask about whatever before we finish up. But yeah, it's an interesting week, mate. Championship just never disappoints, does it?
No, and it's going to be interesting tomorrow. Obviously, Middlesbrough play Cardiff City. Neil Warnock. It's Cardiff took Middlesbrough at the cleaners last year. For me, that was the best performance of the season. I thought Josh Murphy was unplayable. He's back in the side now. Will he put that performance in again at the Riverside? Let's see. Middlesbrough need a reaction. If they play anything like they did against Bristol City, it'll be a one-sided game, and Mick will wipe the floor with Neil. So it'll be an interesting one. But it's a game which, for me, both have to win. Probably Middlesbrough more so. Middlesbrough can't afford to lose if they've got aspirations to get in the playoffs. But it's a huge game. But all the games in the Championship now just come thick and fast, and they're just as big as each other.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Couple of things people have said about that. Donna says Dylan saved the rebound of the first penalty as well as the second penalty, which is interesting.
Yeah.
What else we got? Score predictions for Cardiff Middlesbrough. James Costley's going 3-1 to Cardiff. Let's get that fence ready for Andy to sit on.
Listen, and Donna
asked the same question as well.
After watching the games at the weekend, through the week, and knowing what I know and the way that I think Cardiff will win. I think Cardiff will win 2-1.
I'm going to go 3-1. Is it at Middlesbrough or Cardiff?
Yeah, Middlesbrough.
3-1 to Cardiff. Okay. What else we got then? Gaz says top 6 in the Championship. Has your predictions changed? So what would you on the current? What do you think the top 6 will be, mate? At the end of the season.
Well, I've always said Norwich, so I don't think I'll change my tune on them. I think my second place is always seems to fluctuate. I'd love to see Brentford get there. I just don't know if they've got enough. I'd love to. I'm gonna stick my neck out and say Brentford. I've always said that Stoke would get in the playoffs somehow, but I just can't see it. I think Watford will be in there definitely. I think Swansea will definitely be in there. I think Cardiff City will definitely be in there. And I've just got a sneaky feeling that Reading won't be. I think there'll be another team, and to be honest, it's got to be Bournemouth. It's got to be Bournemouth for me. It's got to be Bournemouth for me with the players. But listen, if you've got Watford, Swansea, Cardiff, and Bournemouth in the playoffs, that is scary, absolutely scary. The amount of quality in the size of the clubs, because only one of them teams can get promoted, which is worrying.
So I'll open that question up a little bit to you then. If we go from 14th Nottingham Forest up to 7th to 8th Barnsley, so you won't include Bournemouth, which one of those clubs do you think has the best chance of making a late run for it?
To get in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Good question.
I'd say Bristol. Or I would have said Barnsley, Stoke.
I would have said Stoke, but I'm gonna throw an outsider in. I'm gonna go googly, so I'm gonna go Nottingham Forest, because I just think they're only 3 points behind the Bristol City, so 2 points behind Bristel City. So it's if they can get on a decent run and start to pick some points up and some confidence up, then they've got a chance, I guess.
Yeah, I said Bristol mainly because they've got a new manager who's very experienced. They're going to get a lift from that for a few games, and they've got a massive squad full of Championship players. So if he does get that new manager run, they could have a good chance. But as Stoke as well, I think. Thereabouts. Craig says Cameron Jerome had an offer to join Cardiff City on deadline day. Would that have been a good signing? Ooh.
Cameron Jerome, as in ex-Cardiff City Cameron Jerome? No, not for me.
No, I don't think so either.
Not for me. No, I think
I was a big fan of him back in the day, but I don't think so.
Listen, everyone's got the level. I think he's happy at MK Dons. He's playing when he can. He's at a certain age now where for me, I think Cardiff have gone down a different route of player age. So there's not many experienced old players in the Cardiff City team squad now. So
yeah, I just
not for me.
Don't. If you're going to sign Cameron Jerome, they may as well have kept Holder Glatzel as backup.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree. I totally agree.
I was a big fan of him when he was at Cardiff.
He's good player, good lad as well.
But not a massive fan. Let's have a quick look at these. See if there's any more questions.
Cade asked one about Aitor Karanka. Will he be next to go in the summer? Will he be next to go? He beat
Tony Mowbray's next.
Yeah, he beat Cade for me. He beat Sheffield Wednesday. So if he can keep on winning the odd game, he might save himself a job. I'm fearing for Tony. Tony's we're talking about two Middlesbrough legends, by the way, and Aitor Karanka and Tony Mowbray about losing the jobs. I'll be devastated if any of those two do. But I don't know. I don't see any of the teams really struggling enough to sack the managers at this time of the year, apart from the clubs who are the big clubs.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Kelly says, will you be doing a Euro show in the summer?
It's something we've spoke about. We spoke about doing different things. We spoke about doing another live towards the end of the season. I think the last day of the season, I think, is a perfect time. I think I'd like to. We've spoke about doing something shorter. And talking about
like a roundup in the group stages, wasn't it?
Yeah. We will be doing something. Yes, we just haven't worked out the logistics and how it's all going to work, because I don't know. I'd like to do the focus on obviously the England and Wales and all the other home nations and stuff, and maybe pick out some good moments. But yeah, we definitely will be doing something. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of in the group stages doing like a sort of 10-15 minute roundup thing, just each day, just me and you just having a chat about the games and what's gone on that day, where you've got a couple of games, and then kind of progress that into a weekly show instead of the Championship show. But like you say, we've discussed it. We'll definitely be doing stuff. We just don't know quite what and where, and a final watch along would be great, says Reese.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, indeed. And do you know what else as well is there's a good chance that they'll put it up live on YouTube, as they've sometimes done in the past when things are on terrestrial TV. If they do that, we can actually have it on screen next to me and Andy as well, which is also quite fun, which you can't always do because of copyright and things like that. So that'd be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Right, got any more questions? Let's have a look. Cade says, love this, won't watch any other football podcasts. Me, as always, best show Monday, Friday. Appreciate that, Cade, massively. Thank you.
Rob Boyle asked, who's been your young player of the year so far?
Oof.
Or Todd Cantwell for me, from Norwich City midfielder. I think he's been superb. Energy, quality. I think he's amazing, immense, very talented.
I've forgotten his name and he's going to bug me. He's on the thumbnail. I've forgotten his name. Who's on the thumbnail? Does anyone remember?
I look on my picture. I look on my picture now. Where am I?
The one in red. I can't remember his name.
Oh, for Nottingham Forest, I can't.
Alex Myton, maybe.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal. Styles as well of Barnsley, who I mentioned earlier. A couple of the Cardiff youngsters have done quite well. Like Mark Harris has done well. I don't know if you could say young player of the season because he hasn't probably played enough games. But even NG, does NG count as a young player?
Well, that's it. Cantwell's 22, so I'd probably say anybody under 23 for me is now young.
Yeah, so I think NG falls under that. Ivan Toney, how old's Ivan Toney?
Don't know. He looks old.
GD Parry says, how would Andy feel about a Wales versus England final?
I'll be over the moon. That means England would be in the final, so I'd be well happy.
That would be the result, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well happy. And then England lift the trophy, so I'll be over the moon. Do you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, it would be the best outcome because it would cause friction.
Yeah, it wouldn't be able to do a watch along for that one.
No, definitely not.
So, Donna just said, in response to Cade's comment about watching another football podcast, Donna says, same. I watched 5 minutes of one because Sai was on it, gave it a like and felt like a traitor. My like was for Sai and not the podcast. Talking about other podcasts. Disgraceful watching another podcast. Even though I was on it. I've been invited to do another podcast in a studio with someone, which should be coming later in this year when the tiers and stuff are all back to normal. Hopefully, mate. Fingers crossed. We could be in the home stretch now.
I know. We can put these plans into fruition and things that we've been speaking about for a while.
Oh, mate, I was excited.
Who put that comment there, Rob?
Rob, of course.
Cheers, Rob.
Disgraceful. But there we go. Right.
That'll be a harder game for you, though. That'll be a more difficult game for Wales.
That is true.
We might lose. So
I think we'd probably beat England. We might not beat Scotland. No, guys, thanks as ever for joining us. Appreciate your time, your comments, your questions, as always. And Andy, as always, mate, I'm very appreciative of your time. Looking forward to Monday, mate, with the female footballer Tyler Dodds catching us from Italy.
Yeah, Tyler's currently playing in Italy, so really looking forward to of digging deep into her career, her aspirations of where she wants to go. She's a very talented lady, as Tyler. She's a professional singer. As well as a very talented footballer. If somebody have a look at my social media, have a look at the goal I put on. That was in her debut in Italy. Have a look on her social media if you can follow her. Some of her highlights, some of her goals for Middlesbrough, for Sunderland, for Durham City, for a team in Italy. I'm not going to embarrass myself in trying to pronounce her team in Italy. By the way, I'll let her do that.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Let her do that on Monday. Yeah. Really looking forward to it, though. And we got some cracking guests in the next couple of weeks. Really looking forward to getting stuck in and asking some questions, talking to the people. I got some more shows coming out on the weekend as well, so keep it like a new episode of Keeping It Real coming out tomorrow with Andrew Thompson, talking the latest from the wrestling world. Danny Batten Fight Show next week. And you never know, I might drop a conspiracy theory show on Sunday if I'm feeling generous. But if you missed it, I did drop an exclusive interview with British actor Chris Johnson last night, and the feedback to that has been phenomenal. It's done some numbers, and but I encourage you to tune out. Chris is a top fella. His stepdad played for Middlesbrough. His uncle played for I think Middlesbrough, Darlington, Newcastle. So he's got a bit of a football background as well. I think at some point he'll probably join me and Andy for a little show when maybe when the season's over, because he's got a real interest in football. And by the way, phenomenal actor. He's really going to be a big name in the acting scene in the next few years. But he's already done some great work, and a lovely fella to boot. But guys, it's been a pleasure. We'll be back Monday. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Check out Bespoke Financial and, of course, Black Diamond Sports. Thank you to both of those for their support around the show. And we'll see you Monday for another episode.
Cheers, guys.
My mummy and daddy have been talking about life insurance. It sounds like something to protect my brother and me, but I don't really understand. Then my Auntie Louise told mummy about Bespoke Financial Teesside. She said they're a local company who helped her with her life insurance. Mummy got in touch, and because they're based locally, a man called Darren was able to come to our house. He was really friendly. Darren stayed for a cup of tea and made it all really easy to understand. He said that life insurance will protect our home and family if anything bad were to happen. Like if mummy or daddy got sick, then we'd get enough money to take care of us, and our house would be paid for so it wouldn't get taken away. After an hour, Darren said goodbye and mummy and daddy seemed a lot happier. Once it was all sorted, we could all relax and watch a film together as a family. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner.
I belong to you.
I belong to you.
Do just what you want.